Hey there, friends. Pastor Jason here. Glad you can join me for daily devotionals. Today's going to be a little bit of a weird one. As I'm recording this, it's Wednesday. I'm going to record it like it's a Friday. I'll let you have the Lord speak to you. It's a lot about the geography of the land. And then also it's going to be my last reading for the week. My son's graduating from college, and so I'm going to take the rest of the weekend to go watch him graduate. I will be back with you on Tuesday. If you're really missing out on some daily devotionals, I suggest you poke around the channel a little bit and find maybe a section of the Bible you haven't done. With that, let's get to Joshua chapter 15. We're in chapter 15. It's verse 1. If I remember right, I'm going to try to put up a map, maybe right over my face. Here we go. Now the allotment for the tribe of the descendants of Judah by their clans was in the southernmost region, south to the wilderness of Zin, and over to the border of Edom. Their southern border began at the tip of the Dead Sea on the South Bay and went south of the ascent of Akrabim. Lots of names today. You're going to forgive me as I butcher some of them. It went to south of the ascent of Akrabim, proceeded to Zin, ascended to the south of Kadesh Barnea, passed Herzon, ascended to Adar, and turned to Karka. It proceeded to Asmon and the brook of Egypt, and so the border ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This is your southern border. Now the eastern border was along the Dead Sea to the mouth of the Jordan. The border on the north side was from the Bay of the Sea at the mouth of the Jordan. It ascended to Beth Hogla, proceeded north to Beth Araba, and ascended to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. Then the border ascended to Debir from the valley of Acher, turning north to the Gilgal that is opposite the ascent of Admin, which is south of the ravine. The border proceeded to the waters of En Shemesh and ended at En Rogel. From there, the border ascended the valley of Hinnom to the southern Jebusite slope, that is Jerusalem, and ascended to the top of the hill that faces the valley of Hinnom on the west, at the northern end of the valley of Rephaim. From the top of the hill, the border curved to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, went to the cities of Mount Ephron, and then curved to Baalah, that is Kiriath Jearim. The border turned westward from Baalah to Mount Seir, and went to the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is Chesalon, descended to Beth Shemesh, and proceeded to Timnah. Then the border reached to the slope north of Ekron, curved to Siccaron, proceeded to Mount Baalah, went to Jebneel, and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Now the western border was the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. This was the boundary of the descendants of Judah around their clans. He gave Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the following portion among the descendants of Judah based on the Lord's instruction to Joshua. Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. Caleb drove out from there the three sons of Anak, Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai, descendants of Anak. From there he marched against the inhabitants of Debir, whose name used to be Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, I will give my daughter Achsah as a wife to the one who strikes down and captures Kiriath Sepher. So Othniel, son of Caleb's brother Kenaz, captured it. And Caleb gave his daughter Achsah to him as a wife. When she arrived, she persuaded Othniel to ask her father for a field. As she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, What do you want? She replied, Give me a blessing. Since you have given me land in the Negev, give me the springs of water also. So he gave her the upper and lower springs. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the descendants of Judah by their clans. These were the outermost cities of the tribe of the descendants of Judah toward the border of Edom in the Negev: Kabzeel, Eder, Jegar, Kaina, Domona, Adada, Kadesh, Hazor, Ephnan, Ziph, Telem, Beloth, Hazor Hadatha, Kiriazoth Hezron, that is Hazor, Amam, Shema, Molada, Hazar Gada, Heshmon, Beth Pelet, Hazar Shoyuel, Beersheba, Biziothia, Baala Lim, Im, Ezem, Eltalad, Cheziel, Horma, Ziklag, Madmana, Sensana, Lebaoth, Shilhim, Ain, and Rimmon, 29 cities, all with their villages. In the Judean foothills, Eshtael, Zorah, Ashna, Zanoah, Anganim, Tapua, Enam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Sukkah, Azekah, Sha'araim, Adiathaim, Gedera, and Jedarothaim. Thank you. 14 cities with their villages: Zenan, Hadasha, Migdal Gad, Dillon, Mizpah, Joktheel, Lachish, Bozkath, Eglon, Cabin, Lamam, Chitlish, Jidderoth, Beth-dagon, Naamah, and Makkedah, 16 cities with their villages: Libnah, Ether, Ashan, Iptah, Ashna, Nezib, Kaliah, Akzib, and Mershaha, 9 cities with their villages. Ekron with its towns and villages, from Ekron to the sea, all their cities near Ashdod with their villages. Ashdod with its towns and villages. Gaza with its towns and villages, to the brook of Egypt and the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. In the hill country, Shamir, Jatir, Soka, Dana, Kiriath Sana, that is Debir, Anab, Eshtemo, Anim, Goshen, Holon, and Gilo, 11 cities with their villages: Arab, Duma, Ishan, Janim, Beth Tupoa, Africa, Humata, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, and Zior, 9 cities with their villages: Maon, Carmel, Ziph, Juta, Jezreel, Jokdeam, Zanoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages: Halhul, Beth Zur, Gedor, Ma'arath, Beth Anath, and Etekon, 6 cities with their villages: Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Beth Araba, Midden, Sekaka, Nibshan, the city of salt, and En-gedi, 6 cities with their villages. But the descendants of Judah could not drive out the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. So the Jebusites lived in Jerusalem among the descendants of Judah to this day. Chapter 16. The allotment of the descendants of Joseph went from the Jordan at Jericho to the waters of Jericho on the east, through the wilderness, ascending from Jericho into the hill country of Bethel. From Bethel it went to Luz and proceeded to the border of the Archites by Adaroth. It then descended westward to the border of the Japhletites, as far as the border of lower Beth Horon, then to Gezer, and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. So Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph, received their inheritance. This was the territory of the descendants of Ephraim by their clans. The border of their inheritance went from Adaroth Adar on the east of Upper Beth Horon. In the north, the border went westward from Mikmatheth. It turned eastward from Taanath Shiloh and passed it east of Genoa. From Genoa, it descended to Adaroth and Naarah, and then reached Jericho and went to the Jordan. From Tappuah, the border went westward along the brook of Cana and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the descendants of Ephraim by their clans, together with the cities set apart for the descendants of Ephraim within the inheritance of the descendants of Manasseh. All these cities with their villages, but they did not drive out the Canaanites who lived in Gezer. So the Canaanites live in Ephraim to this day, but they are forced laborers. All right, a lot of geography today. I'll let the Lord speak to you about that. What do you think was the reason why they weren't able to drive out those peoples in the last sentences of each chapter? The Canaanites in chapter 16 and, as my mouse zips along, the Jebusites in Jerusalem in chapter 15. Why do you think it was? You could probably make a pretty, if you've been following along, you could probably make a fairly reasonable, well-estimated guess as to why that was. With that, I hope you have a blessed several days. Again, I will see you on Tuesday. Be a blessing to those around you until then. And I look forward to being back in Joshua with you in several days. Again, if you're looking for something to watch, poke around the channel. Find yourself a short book of the Bible to follow along and to do. Maybe do some other Psalms as well. I'll see you soon.